Hello YouTube, this is Mr. Tusker Dragon, part of Teamwataponuk UK here. Sorry I haven't had many videos up, but I've been very busy with work commitments and family. But I'm back now and I've got a few deck profiles coming up soon. And first of all, we're going to have my Harpie deck profile. So here we go. We run 3 Harpie Channeler, which if you discard one card, Harpie card from your hand, you can then special summon one Harpie monster from your deck. Also, if that is a level 7 dragon type monster, Harpie Channeler then becomes a level 7 too, which then you can rank up for your Big Eye, your Dracosac, or of course number 74, Master of Blades. Next of all we have Harpie Queen. She's a 1/9 beta, and also she basically searches out your Harpie's hunting ground, which comes in very handy. Next of all we have 3 Harpie Dancer. Now Harpie Dancer works very good in conjunction with Harpie's hunting ground, because you can summon her, use her own effect, then bring her back to the field, and then of course pop another card, so you get a 2 for 1 basically, which is brilliant. Then of course I run 2 Cyber Harpies. Now a lot of people will say, why am I running 2 Cyber Harpies? Well, of course, I've always liked Cyber Harpies anyway when they first came out, and I thought, well, it's a Harpie deck, so I might as well run 2 Cyber Harpies as well. Plus she's a 1/8 beat stick, and also you get a boost off Harpie's hunting ground, which helps. And of course, 1 Harpie Lady 1. Now I used to run Harpie Lady 1 at 2, but I found it was too cloggy, and I used to draw it when I didn't actually need it. So I thought, well, let's try 1 out, and 1 seems to be doing pretty fine at the moment. 1 Zephyros the Elite. Zephyros comes in handy so many times when of course you've got those dead hysteric parties, your fiendish chains. So it's good enough just to get rid of those things back off the field so you can reuse them again. And of course, you know, it does cost you 400 life points, but when it does come back it's brilliant. Plus it's a level 4, so it's good for exceeding. Then you run 1 Thunder King. Okay, Thunder King does hurt this deck. However, of course, using it on your first turn can incredibly help you out. It does stop decks like Mermals and Fire Fists and other searching decks. Also, if you go against a mirror match, it does help out against Harpies too. And of course, 1 Harpie's Pet Dragon. Now, of course, I see people running 1 or 2. 2, I would say, too cloggy. I used to run it at 2. And I used a dead draw and it got potentially annoying, so I thought I'd drop it down to 1. And this seems to be working out pretty well. Now we go on to the spells. Of course you have to run 3 Hysteric Sign. Now Hysteric Sign's first effect is add 1 Elegant Egotist to your hand, which is good. Its second effect is good when this is when it's sent, not discarded, sent from the field, hand or the graveyard, no, sent to the field, or hand to the graveyard, sorry, you get, at the end phase, you get to actually search. But you cannot activate Elegant Egotist, as I hear, on the set. You can't activate Elegant Egotist after the effect of the Hysteric Sign because you do not get the effect of Hysteric Sign. That may be wrong, but that's what I hear. Okay, right. Then of course the 3 Harpies Hunting Ground, which of course, you know, is a brilliant field spell. It pops off all your spell and trap cards as soon as you summon Harpie monsters, and also you get a 200 point boost, which comes incredibly handy. Some Harpie monsters are pretty weak except Cyber Harpie, so these 3 cards do come in handy. Plus if you run it at any less than 3, so you got to run it at 3, if you run it at 2 then it's pretty silly because you do run 3 Harpie Queens. You know, and some staples, you know, Book of Moon and Dark Hole. A lot of people do say, why do I run Dark Hole? Well, I say if you go against these big massive sperm decks, for instance like Fire Fists and Mermals, they do spam the field quite a lot. And of course with a lot of other decks, you know, if they open up Godly and they start spamming the field and you've got nothing, if you open up with Dark Hole in your first turn, you can clear the field and make it a fresh. I found if I didn't have Dark Hole, a lot of the times I used to get spammed and then that was it. I used to die quickly. And of course 1 Elegant Egotist. No need to say what Elegant Egotist does. Okay, now we go on to the traps. 3 Hysteric Parties. Now this card has saved me a lot in every single game. I used to run this at 2 first of all, and I never used to see it, so I thought bump it up to 3. You discard 1 card from your hand, so it's any card. It doesn't have to be a Harpie card, which most people do forget. And you can special summon all the Harpies in your graveyard, which is really good, except you can't summon Harpie's pet dragon, but that's okay, because you just go into things like Queen, Dragon, Djinn and bring it back anyway. So these 3 cards do make the deck incredibly powerful. Most of the time people just send stuff to the graveyard, and of course if you've got this out, you know, oh, fair enough, you know, flip it over, his deck party, my turn, and then spam the field. Then we have 2 Mistake. Now of course, I've seen Jeff Jones, of course, he runs 3 Mistake, but I think 3 Mistake is a mistake. Literally, because the fact of, sometimes if you don't go against those decks that spam the field, or literally go through their deck like there's no tomorrow, then Mistake sometimes at 3 could be a dead draw. I mean, you could draw 2 of them, or even 3 of them at the same time when you don't really need them. And I thought 2 was more interesting. 1, you never see it at all in a 40 card deck, so I thought, no, I'll bump it up to 2. So I thought, well, let's just try it. It seems to work very well. Then we have 2 Mirror Force, you know, self-explanatory. 3 Fiendish Chain. This card has to be an MVP of this deck, because it just helps me out so many times. They summon a monster, Fiendish Chain. They do it to defect Fiendish Chain, they attack Fiendish Chain. It's basically a double-edged sword. Sometimes they can MST it and you can't chain it, which is a shame. But the fact of you could stop an attacking monster and negates their effects. So this card really does come in handy. 2 Trap Stun. I run 2 Trap Stun because I get really fed up when I'm summoning a monster and someone goes Bottomless or Warning or Compulse, and I think, oh, it's really irritating. So I thought, no, if I'm gonna go all out and make a big play, Trap Stun's the best. I used to try and run it at 3, but I thought it was too cloggy, so 2 is really good and very consistent. 1 Bottomless, 1 Compulse, 1 Torrential, and of course 1 Solemn Warning. Now of course we go on to the extra deck. I run 2 Lightning Chidoris, which I think this card is brilliant. I mean, this makes the deck brilliant. I mean, summon it, turns a set card to the bottom of the opponent's deck. I think it's to the bottom of the opponent's deck. Yep, to the opponent's bottom of the deck, and then you can detach 1 to turn 1 face-up monster on top of the deck. So basically it has a built-in Phoenix Wing Blast for its second effect, and its first effect does come incredibly handy because it does set defense monsters and it does set face-down spell or trap cards, which sometimes the opponent does get quite annoyed when you get rid of their back row as well. Then we run 2 Ice Beast Seraphons. Now this card is brilliant. I mean, I've gone against a few Fire-Fist decks, a few Spellbook decks, and I've also gone against a lot of Warrior decks, especially Noble Knights, and they love their equip cards. And this bad boy here, summon out this detach, oh look, you've got 3 equip cards on your monster, bam, negate all those cards and run over it. This card is absolutely brilliant. I used to run out 1, but I thought, nah, let's run it at 2, because a lot of the times I do go against decks that have massive, like, face-up back row. Now this card I love, you know, I don't need to explain what Silent Honor Arc does. Everybody knows what that does by now. So, 1 Black Ship of Corn, that comes incredibly handy. Queen, Dragon, Djinn, that's just basically in there so to bring back Harpie's pet dragon and then use Harpie Channeler to go into another rank 7. Gagaga Cowboy, Harpie's pet Phantasmal Dragon. I've only used that once or twice, but it does really come in handy when you can get the combo with it. 1 Gem Knight Pearl, 1 Maestroke, and 1, what is it, Digesto Emerald. I've only gone into Digesto Emerald a few times, but I think it's best to have it in there because just in case when you do need it, you've actually got it in the deck, and plus it's a wind as well. And of course, Dracosac, Big Eye, and number 74. Master of Blades. Now of course, this deck is based on like spamming out rank 7s and rank 4s. Of course I do have the other build of spamming with just rank 4s. I do try to use different types, you know, just to see what the consistency is like, as we've got our big major competition coming up here soon where I live. So I'm just deck testing, make sure the deck's in proper order, and hopefully it just works, because sometimes it can be very inconsistent, so I had to build it so it is consistent. So please rate and subscribe. Please comment on if you like it and if you would change anything, and yeah, basically that's it. This is Mr. Sasuke Dragon signing out until when he does his next profile. And remember, only real men use Watapon.